Fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, it happened in 2005. I was on my way traveling towards the Sahara because I wanted to see the desert. But there was nothing to see but sand. So I got stuck in Toustert, a small city in southern Tunisia. Toustert was surrounded by a number of villages that were already getting reclaimed by desert and sand. I was wandering in one of those abandoned places when I felt suddenly attracted to the only shiny and well-preserved building. It was locked, so I had to climb over a wall and through a window to get inside. I had just entered my first mosque. I didn't bring a camera with me at that time, so I had to paint it. It took me about 15 minutes to draw the sketch, when suddenly it happened. Quack! A major beam of the reef construction gave in slightly, and a pile of stones and dust fell directly onto my right shoulder and trickled down onto my sketchbook. A couple of days later, after a sequence of events that was completely unrelated to this first experience, I decided to participate in a prayer. It's actually forbidden to do so for non-believers, but I had the support of some local people. And this image shows the mosque just a few minutes before I had participated in a public prayer for the first time in my life. Those of you who did have a similar experience will know that the acoustics, the singing, and the synchronous movements can create a very extraordinary experience, and I will never forget it. But what also fascinated me was this extraordinary play with symmetrical structures, which you could see in the tiling and on these pictures with the arches and the columns being placed all over the building. In fact, creating a structure with such a high degree of internal symmetry is a difficult geometrical challenge. And the way Islamic scholars were doing this over the course of centuries actually displayed providential insight into the structure of nature. About 100 years ago, people discovered that the crystal, such as this quartz, has a similar symmetric and regular structure inside. The way people did it, they sent an X-ray beam into this crystal and discovered a symmetric and repetitive structure on the film. Now, there is some geometrical limitation to the number of symmetries that you can put into finite space. And this limitation was already known to the Islamic mathematicians when they figured out how you can tile an area with repetitive tiles. Now let's see how they were doing it. That's a tiling from the Mosque of Isfahan. And you can see a number of special positions there. For example, here, you can rotate the image by 60 degrees. It's a six-fold rotation point. You can rotate by 60 degrees and get the same pattern. You can see some other points with a three-fold rotation. You can rotate the pattern by 120 degrees. And that's actually the view that you would get if you could look into this quad from a top view. And the two special positions correspond to the silica and the oxygen atoms. But actually, they did not only did this, they also did a pattern like that. It's another tiling which displays the quartz from a side view. And again, it's easy to spot the special positions for the silica and the oxygen atoms. But actually, those tilings don't stop here. They did all the possible angles from all the possible angles that are known today. But it even doesn't stop there. They also did a number of quasi-crystals. These are regular structures that do not repeat. Interestingly, those patterns are known today as Penrose tiling or Kepler tiling, despite the fact that in the mosques they have been on display for hundreds of years. And looking back at history, there has been some kind of military conflict between our Western culture and the Islamic culture for at least 1,000 years. And I believe that in this conflict, we might have lost the ability to appreciate what the Islamic scholars have been capable of doing. When we look at the history of our sciences, the antique often moves directly into the Renaissance, with little in between. Whereas in fact, the Arabic Islamic scholars have been very productive at a time when our culture was in a state of mental blackout. And I believe that it is this ignorance that adds to the perpetuation of that conflict. Thank you.